Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, a Real Madrid podcast with me, Jarod Hector, joined by my guy, Loconte. Loconte, what's up?
Yo, feels good. 24 hours after.
It feels even better 24 hours after Real Madrid's 2-1 El Clasico win over Barcelona on Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please, as always, you know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share it with your friend. If you want to listen to the audio-only version of this, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. So go there, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Not a 4.5, not a 3, not a 2, not a 1, 5, because this is the best Real Madrid content out there. And thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. All right, Loconte, we talked so much about from the beginning of when we all started podcasting together about this over the summer. We talked about how the mindset of this team had to change because we didn't like how we were performing in big games. When adversity hits, the team just folded like cheap suits, right? Everybody just packed up and gave up, or everybody went into, well, I'll just fix this by myself, individual hero mode, and that never helps the collective, right? And against really good teams, you get your ass kicked, and that's what happened to us, right? We got smashed by good teams last year. And I said the biggest thing for me was going into this year was Xabi Alonso going to be able to change the mindset of this team. And that's the thing that's interesting, because when you have certain habits ingrained to how you do things, you're not just, okay, I tell you to do something new today, and then tomorrow you fix it and everything's good. These are habits you have to break, and it takes time, painful lessons, and eventually you get better, right? And I thought we were progressing well, but then the Atleti game happened, and I was like, oh shit, this is not looking good, right? Like, we seem to revert back to some of our habits. We fought back, right? Got it to 2-2. So basically, to start the second half, it was a brand new game, but nothing. We folded when adversity hit after that. So I was very curious to see what our mindset was going to be in this Barcelona game, in El Clasico. And forget about minute one, from in the tunnel before they even got onto the pitch, Loconte, I saw it in their eyes. I saw it in their faces. Like they were hungry and they wanted it. From that whistle blew, they were ready. And I was so impressed with their mentality. Talk about it.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that help here, right? But representing Real Madrid and just not having that mental edge, because this club has been built on that remontada type of structure of, okay, we come back from adversity no matter what. So that spirit felt kind of lost. I'm not going to blame anybody that actually questioned whether they have it or not, because in terms of footballing, I don't think any of us had any doubts that we are the more talented team. But what we questioned, or what was questioned, better said, is can these players withstand what is going to be in front of them that is going to make them uncomfortable regardless of the situation? And what we saw last night, yesterday, however we want to say it, is a team that is capable of dealing with everything. It helps that Alonso used to be a player. He's gone through some really dark moments as a Madrid player. Therefore, he also his age, I think that he's more like a big brother rather than a father figure to the players. So his approach and talking to them must be on that manner, at least even from the press conferences we get, that he doesn't really play that I'm your boss type of role, but he's more like a big bro in those players. So he probably post Derby Madrileno, he's definitely used some of his time as the club player to tell the players that, hey, look, I've gone through this. This is what we did back in the day, and this is what's going to need to be done. When the talent is there, you're going to be able to get over the hurdle. And I think that over time, this has helped. Not even for one of the game post that have we felt that we're not in control. We have lost our mind emotionally. We're struggling. It felt that they needed that game, like going back to that game, Carvajal's interview when he went like, this loss needs to sting and sting for a long time. Well, now we're seeing like the fruits and the benefits of losing a game like that early, that so far, keyword, ended up not having the biggest consequences considering how tough our schedule been and the fact that we have basically played in Wanda unless we match up against them on the Champions League. We have finished that, so yeah.
I think too, as you and I have talked about, right? The development under Xabi Alonso's new project is not going to do this straight line up curve. It's going to do this, right? But the hope is that the underlying trend line is going up, which we are pretty sure that it is, right? And Tchouaméni had a quote that came out today where he basically said, we knew that after the Madrid derby, we had to give more effort. We did that. At the end, it's just worth 3 points on to the next, right? And I think the one thing athletes are, especially the top ones and the elite ones in their sport, they are very honest and self-critical. When they were in the locker room, in the dressing room after, and Xabi talked to them and they talked amongst themselves, they knew they didn't give the requisite, had come with the right energy and effort. No one had to tell them. They was very well aware. So I think what they had in their mind was, no matter what, however this game ends, the Clasico, win, lose, or draw, no one will say at the end, we did not give the requisite effort. No one can say that. And that was very obvious, right? Because it was there. And I tweeted about this, Loconte, about the adversity. When adversity hit, what's going to happen? So they start on the front foot. We see what looks like to be an obvious penalty to me when Lamine Yamal takes down Vini. In the box, right? It looks like they're going to step up. They go to VAR. They say no. That's a moment where you can start running to the refs, putting your hand up and crying and complaining and, okay, move on to, right? Put it away. Next, right? The next thing we do is what? We score offsides. It's like, but wait, it wasn't offsides. Firmino hit the ball back to Chesney, right? Like, we all saw it. They all know it too. Another opportunity for them to be like, oh, woe is me. The refs are against us, right? That's 2 times we got screwed. No, we're going to go again, right? They kept getting back up. No, we're going to go again. We're going to go again. We're going to go again. And that is the mentality I want from this team. It doesn't matter what the refs do, what other bullshit's going on. You have to stick to your plan and do what is necessary. And when you do that, good things happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, there were a few, like, recordings from the game that we got from Goal TV, right, on Spain. And there's Vinicius, right, going and being like, hey, why can Pedri always complain? But if I complain, I get a yellow card, right? But we're seeing, like, an internal growth. I know that Vinicius, his reaction to getting subbed off wasn't the best. But outside of it, you're seeing an internal growth that's coming with him that wasn't there. A level of where top players provoke. I'm sorry, guys, but that's the reality. So Vinicius, instead of falling prey to them, he's making the opponent start to think of what they're going to do. So basically he's telling the ref, hey, why Pedri without the captain armband, can speak to you, but I can't. Because we know that from the rules, only the captains are allowed to speak to the referees. This has been a rule for 2 years now. So Vini is just pointing out to, hey, this guy's not respecting the rules, but if I do the same, well, it's double standards. So he's putting the ref under pressure too to behave and act accordingly because, well, guess what? The referee knows that post the game, Vinicius can bring that up. And he can go like, I told the ref this, and he still didn't act on it, even though those are the rules. Therefore, like, it's a mental fortitude. Or we saw him going to Lamine Yamal, like, hey, passing the ball back to defenders. Really? That's all what you're doing? Like, this is a good way to go into the biggest game. Let's be real, biggest game in world of football, maybe of all sports, but maybe of all sports. And you're not only taking it calmly when you have the ball and all of that, you're actually using your time to get into their skin. And that when you're performing well and you're doing the shit talk correctly, because, well, to back up the numbers, Vini on the first half, when he told that to Yamal, had 1 pass on his own half, while Yamal had 80% of his passes on his own half. So Vini was paying attention to everything that Lamine Yamal was doing. Those things are very important ingredients to make yourself feel superior to your opponent. So now going back to what Tchouaméni had, to me, like how I read it also, it feels that they're still not happy with the results that they're getting. Everything has been a victory, by the way, but it feels that they want to crush their opponent. It's not about, okay, we're better than them and we feel really comfortable on the pitch because it doesn't feel that those teams can do much against us. It's also the fact that hey, we need to transform this comfort that we're feeling into
Yep.
score lines.
Yep.
And those score lines are actually going to allow us to rest a little bit more and give more minutes to the younger players a little bit.
Exactly.
So it's more of like part of the process that the players are acknowledging that, hey, we're going to get there. It's just a matter of time before it starts falling into the right place.
And I think that's a brilliant way to sum it up, Loconte, because again, you and I talked about this. You're like, we'll be concerned if the process looks bad. But again, on rewatch of that Clasico earlier today, which I did, the process is there, man. It is there. You look at the underlying numbers, right? We had an XG of 4. And honestly, when I rewatched, the score probably should have been 4-1, right? Like when you rewatch, like I was like, it's
probably
there.
Higher given the probability of the chances, like the Rodrigo shot, the Vinicius shot that just skims through, right? It's
correct.
Look, when you're watching it emotionally, like yesterday, it's you don't fully pay attention to how dominant Madrid actually was. When you go and do the rewatch without emotions, because you know that hey, we have won this game. So I'm calm here. I know I just really want to see what's happening. And then you see to just how easy everything felt to the players. Like nothing feels forced. Players are very comfortable in their roles. Everybody seems to know what they have to do. Look, are there mistakes in it? Yeah, sure. But everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
It's about how much are we paying for mistakes? We're going to get into those things as we're all in, right?
Mistakes are baked into the game, right? That's sports. Mistakes are baked into that. They happen. That's also what makes the game beautiful are the mistakes, right? And how do you then deal with them?
I mean, our whole game plan kind of was more set into having Barca make mistakes, which they did a lot of them. So it's just as far as execution from the players go and Xabi's tactical template for the game, like Xabi himself, to quote him, he went like, we went for a team that we believed was going to be the best of fair, a team that plays like this, which to me sounds like a coach that is willing to change things and adapt, which is something that we have always talked. We don't have a coach that wants to stick to one thing and be like, it's either I'm going to ride or die by this.
Right.
He probably gets to one point when he has figured out everything. But again, it's really early in the process. Like the first time when we should really speak about how this team looks like a whole is probably on New Year's, when we have finished the first part of the season and we have a look into how it has developed and where it's lacking. And to think that this is what they're doing at this point is just incredible.
No, it's phenomenal. And I think that because of the underlying XG and the amount of shots and the chances that we're creating, I do think that ultimately those goals are going to start coming. We're going to start scoring a lot more as time goes on. And again, when you go back to this Clasico game, and again on that rewatch, Loconte, yes, at halftime, I think the possession was basically 50-50, 50-50 stats. At second half, we knew Barca was probably going to control a little bit more, and they did, right? Because the numbers ended up being 70-30 or something like that. But when you watch that second half, what clear-cut chances did Barca had other than the Koundé, the Yamal to Koundé ball into the box, right? None of Madrid kept pushing them out wide. Great. You can have the ball out here and ticky-tack it to your heart's delight. But you come into zone 14 in that middle, ain't shit going to be there because it's clogged. So good luck, right? Like, and you were never worried. You were never worried.
That's the thing, right? Like we saw a momentum swing post the penalty miss. That was really clear. But outside of that, really, realistically speaking, Barca had one more shot on the second half with 9 more minutes of extra time. 4 more minutes of actual football being played, but technically it was 9 minutes of extra time. I've always hammered the point. For as long as you can keep a team wide, feel free to. And this is what we did. Okay, we have to do this, and this. And this is what they did. Keep them wide. It doesn't matter. For as long as the ball is not entering dangerous areas, you're more than comfortable to just sit there. And when momentum, like that's the fear, because football is such a game of momentum, right? And we're the kings of it. But we have also had tendencies to suffer from it. When the momentum went against us, like Szczesny saves that penalty of Mbappe, the game is completely swinged.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 minutes there or so, you feel that there is a bit more danger coming, but when you watch it live,
Right.
it felt a lot more than it actually was. Like
Correct.
all what Barca was doing was getting the ball to Lamine Yamal, turnover, we get the ball. We weren't doing
Mm-hmm.
a good job with the ball during those minutes,
Correct.
but Barca kept repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and just hoping for
A
kind
moment
of
of
like,
individual brilliance. Yeah.
I would say that like
Yeah.
it was a team very well prepared.
Yeah.
But that first half, right? Like we always go back to that because that's when we won it. Like you
Oh,
start
yeah.
with Dean Howson making two mistakes, two big
Yep.
ones
Jumped up
normally.
too early, and then the bad giveaway,
The bad
right? Like,
pass,
mm-hmm.
yeah. So he played those first minute like somebody that hasn't played football in a month, which was true. He
Correct.
hadn't played football in a month, and the kid is 20. Like
Mm-hmm.
something to also remember. He's just a
Mm-hmm.
20 years old kid. That's an adversity in itself when you're
Mm-hmm.
making two big mistakes within the first few seconds of the game,
Yep.
and it's a game that you're expected to win and your mentality is being questioned, and those Lamine Yamal quotes were circulating
Mm-hmm.
completely over the internet. Team didn't budge at all. They just
No.
went like, it's fine, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also he himself, not like he
Mm-hmm.
shied away from dueling or
Right.
attempting passes.
Yep.
He just stuck to what he knew. Like the plan from the beginning was pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Bait them out, have that House and Carreras left side, and
Mm-hmm.
try to shift the ball to the right. We
Yep.
were more often than not just using Chouameni for those like small little switches to add that extra pass so they can get baited. And those right hand side, like we're known as a left sided team normally
Yeah, but we
because
were
we have,
doing fun stuff on the right side, Loconte.
and it's just
Woo.
on the right, and they're getting trapped there. And then
Yeah.
Valverde. This is when I say like when somebody is going to bring up the Barca injuries,
Mm-hmm.
Valverde is a great right back, but he's not
Right.
a natural right back. We
Correct.
missed both the right backs.
Correct.
And Valverde was just mistiming a little bit when he has to
Mm-hmm.
switch to Vini because
Yeah.
the chances for transition there would have been even bigger had Trent or Carvajal started the game.
Oh, I mean, this game was tailor made for peak Trent. If Trent was here doing his thing, you know how many of those nice through like over the top with the backspin passes he's getting to Vinny, and Vinny's in all alone on the goalie like that. I mean, yeah, I'm salivating and can't wait for when Trent's back and fully optimized with this team.
Exactly. Camavinga made a fun tweet when he went like right winger unlocked. And I'm like, yeah, you were kind of used to that, but you weren't really a right winger. I know what you're trying to do, but those Orda, Camavinga, Jude, even Chouameni, Militao, Valverde, like, look at how many players I'm mentioning that just kept on trapping them. And he's just like, use the body, it's kind of like a screening basketball. It feels that Alonso for real went with a more like a basketball routine type of thing where he shrinks down the pitch and he goes like, hey guys, you need this. So for us to be able to switch and cross it over, we're going to need some screens. We're going to need some players to be able to beat their screens. So it's simpler than that, but in terms, to me, it felt like that. I really want the ball to circulate behind their pivots. And that's when Mbappe was doing a great job because Kubarsi and
Garcia.
to be honest, their backline completely were just disorganized. I don't want to put it in one player, but that Camavinga, Bellingham, Orda, all on the left just had Balde like, what do I do here? And Balde kept backpedaling, especially at the beginning, so that offside, you can tell that wasn't working as well. Because he kept backpedaling because he was way too afraid of that space in behind.
You saw that, right? You mentioned that the space was always occupied on the right side, right, by somebody, right? Camavinga's up there. Okay, Jude's back. Jude's up. Camavinga. Like, there's just constant activity on that side of the pitch, causing Balde to be focused on them and not watching his lines correctly, right? Which then means, oh, you just play Kylian Mbappe on sides, right? Because you're too afraid or too... Look, it's everybody who watches basketball knows the great legendary coach turned commentator Hubie Brown. And he says, you set screens in basketball for one reason, to make the defender think, right? Because once you are thinking, what are you not doing? Reacting to what you're supposed to be doing. So Balde was constantly in that, wait, someone's over. I have to, as opposed to being like, I have to maintain this high line and this offside trap. He wasn't worried about that because I'm worried about this dude over here. Too much was going on in his brain. And I thought tactically from Xabi Alonso, that was just brilliant. A brilliant move to kind of, and in another way, right, pick on him on that side, right? Like you see in the NBA when you know weak defender, call him up into a screen every time until you force the other team to do something different.
Yeah, exactly. Look, when I say like superiority, that's one of the things. We weren't the team that had to think and react. We were the team that was pressing the action and forcing them to react. Because they're a one-dimensional team, that becomes much harder. Like, I don't remember an El Clasico was like a 4xg, really, for a team. And we can keep like the first half ended with 2xg. Like, it's not that, the penalty inflated the numbers. No. The first half ended with 2xg to 0.61 and 0.43 comes from their goal, which meant that they were Hail Marying some shots and hoping that somehow it goes in, or it's a desperation and we need to get rid of the ball because this pressure is way too much right now. Like, one of the things that I mentioned yesterday that became even cleaner on a film today was the fact that we had like Jude, Camavinga, Tchouaméni sometimes just walking, right, on that mid block. And Pedri, De Jong, whoever was receiving was fighting for their life because they were way too afraid to push the ball. So the ball was going back to their defenders. Then the defender has to restart the attack time and time again. Look, if football had the time clock like NBA had, Barcelona
shot clock violation
the whole game. Like, this, how good that scheme was. Yeah. So the possession number is inflated because of that. We didn't go there for the ball. We went there
to deny them entry. Yeah. We denied you entry. Oh, you're not getting in here. So go ahead. Kick it back to Chesney. I don't care. Knock yourselves out back there. But you're not coming in this zone.
Whenever they were going to goalkeeper, we just went with like 8 players up. And we went like, okay, good luck now getting the ball forward. So they were panicking. Their switches were like really bad, really uncomfortable. Hats off to Alvaro Carreras. I'll say this much.
Oh, listen.
So good at being proactively accurate at getting ahead. Hats off to him. Not many people give him credit because, well, his SofaScore rating wasn't the best, which doesn't really matter.
And he had a couple mistimed passes that, had they been more accurate, could have sprung for a goal. So I get it.
Yeah, but the idea, right?
Yeah.
It's more of the idea. It's when against the ball, that's when he's so good.
He was, listen, I love Carreras. And let's also be honest about him, guys. He's 22 years old. So that means he can also get better. He's not near his prime or peak yet either in terms of understanding the nuances of that position and being elite at it. On rewatch, Loconte, another thing that was obvious to me was who I call our monstars. Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, right? Valverde, but he played right back, not midfield. They have such a physical advantage, right? Because they're just immensely gifted physical athletes. But what gets lost is their technical quality. There were so many sequences where Bellingham or Camavinga in particular had these deft, fleet foot of touches to spin out of 2 or 3 Barcelona players around them. Yeah, no problem. And I'm always like, but I thought they were just big dudes who just fucking run by everybody. I'm like, it looked like they're pretty technical to me. And that's the thing. It's both. It's because they have the elite physical and the elite technical that makes them so good. And to me, they're punished because of that, Loconte. In this match, every time Pedri fell down, it's like, oh, wait, I think it's a foul. I'm like, no, it's not their fault that they outweigh him by 95 pounds. Like, I don't know what you want to say. Like, that's just genetic. Sorry. Like, meanwhile, Pedri kicks them or whatever. Oh, you're too big. Get up. It's like, guys, come on. If it's a foul, it's a foul, right? And I thought they were penalized a lot in this match because of their physical brilliance and not enough credit it's given to their elite skill. Because those guys are, I can make a compilation highlight tape of just some of the elite stuff they did with ball to feet.
Yeah, on the first 10 minutes, Eric Garcia shoves Bellingham twice, literally
Mhm.
on the ground, keep in mind, like those things can be detrimental. First of all, hands are being used. You're not allowed to use them. Second is the fact that, of course, Jude is going to go down because that's a good free kick for us to get. And
Mhm.
third one is the fact that you're letting them to get on transition while we have one less player because he's on the ground late.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that Jude dived, but
Mhm.
every single player is going to try
Correct.
to go down to
Mhm.
get the call because, as we have learned, without going down, you're not getting the call ever.
Mhm.
So they need to go down. But for some reason, as you said, is that perception of, okay, they're big, so they should not actually go down at all
Right.
because they need to be able to sustain any sort of damage contact whatsoever.
Which is not
So
fair. That's unfair.
it's an unfair treatment, and it's really funny that all of that comes after Lamine Yamal goes like, "Oh yeah, that cheats." It's just like, okay, fair enough, you can say that. Like, I saw a lot of petty Barca fans after Jude's Instagram post. Right, it was like very chill, and
Yeah.
reality is talk is cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk the talk and walk the walk. I respect people that talk beforehand
Mhm.
if they
They
go
back it
out
up.
there
Mhm.
and are walking the walk. I
Mhm.
don't mind shit talk. I
Mhm.
actually enjoy that. I
Of
like to
course.
have some, like pricks on the
Yeah.
team
It's fun. It's
because they make it
entertainment.
more fun.
Yeah.
But I want to see the walk being walked. I don't want to see that mentality of what they showed because they gave up relatively quickly. Like if we remove that Arda Güler mistake, they were
Mhm.
never
And I,
going to
and I
score.
want I want and I want to talk about that again, Loconte, because I rewatched that and I watched it like 10 times in a row and I slowed it down. Here's what I saw. He receives the ball. Before he receives the ball, he turns over his shoulder to see what space he had and where Pedri was. So he's making the calculus in his brain. So he turns back, he takes the ball from his chest, as he should, because it was coming up high, gets it down to his feet. At that moment, Loconte, you can tell when you watch him, he's thinking, what do I do? Do I give it back to Militao or do I just turn and get? And he was caught in that think. And listen, these are the best players in the world. If you stop to think, it's over.
Yeah.
There's no thinking. You have to just go. And he stopped to think, and you saw it. I was like, that's why you got killed right here. You stopped to think, and that's what killed him on that giveaway.
And that's why Jude was like to start the game. He went to Courtois 3 times
Mm-hmm.
because it was the safest. Barca was trying to contest us in midfield, so Jude went like, okay, how can I reset this? And he would reset it to the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And for Arda there, when you know that the ball resets once it hits the goalkeeper because they're contesting you on 1v1,
Mm-hmm.
normally you should be taking that decision. Even if it's a bad pass, Barcelona players felt way too far to be able to get to it before Thibaut would.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's a clearance, that's better than a goal conceded because you gave away a goal and not for the first time in the same manner too.
Mm-hmm.
So Arda should be held accountable, but as said on yesterday's show, his confidence after it just kind of makes up for it because he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go down and like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, what did I do? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just destroyed this great performance that we have been having.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel that. He just goes
Yeah.
like, okay, if I can
Yeah.
make up for it, I can. But what
Right.
I'm going to do is stick to my role, stick
Yep.
to my plan,
Yep.
always help my teammates, always do the right thing, and it doesn't matter. It was a
Yeah.
mistake that we're going to fix regardless. That's a
And
belief
mistakes
of a
happen.
coach.
Yeah.
This is the biggest change of
Mistakes
when
happen. Right? Mistakes happen. We're gonna keep playing, right? And that's what I loved. I was like, because that was adversity, right? Shit, we were dominating. We really should be up maybe 2 or 3-0 at this point. Now it's 1-1. It could be easy to say, oh, hang our heads and get in trouble. Nope. Next play. I love that. And I think again, as we look ahead, Loconte, this match to me, I know you think so too. I think is going to set them up as a nice buoy towards the remainder of the season. We have Valencia on Saturday or Sunday, and then Liverpool next week, and then the international break.
yes,
I feel like if we can go into the break winning these next 2 matches and on this lengthy match winning streak, that's going to give the team so much confidence and more hunger to keep doing what they're doing to get even better at what we're doing to really start, as you say, when the calendar turns after the holidays to be like, okay, business end of the season, Now it's time to step on necks, and we're going for it now.
Yes. Like we mentioned it against Getafe on the post-game show. Ball circulation was one of the weak points of the Alonso era. And we mentioned that finally they're starting to work on it because there was so much that needed work. It's not like, okay, we have to fix our press and we're great. No, we didn't know how to build out from the back. We didn't know when to trigger press, when to rotate, when the players have to drop, when they have to push forward. What a move of a teammate triggers another move, like a little bit of automation to come there. And now we're starting to kind of see a little bit more progress done with the ball. Like Vini's growth would be like one of the fundamental things of this. Like Vini, who at one point was an ISO type of player, who's more like, give me the ball at my feet, I'm going to beat these defenders. Even yesterday, where kind of felt that the plan is designed around Vini's going to cook Koundé if we get him 1v1. Like, we just know that. We have a history of that. It's not a new thing. It's not this Koundé. It's the Koundé of Sevilla too. He just can't cope with him. So we know that. But still, even when he was taking on the player, he wasn't rushing it. He wasn't being like, okay, I can go on this solo run and just try to end it somehow. No, he was always looking. He always knew what to do. Like, this what made his performance great overall, is the fact that we're seeing that explosiveness of him and his ISO dribbling, whatever we want to call it. But we're seeing him play with his teammates, not alone. Not Vini, you have to win us the game, or Vini, you're our only hope to get the ball out. It is more like, Vini, you're an engine to making us even greater than we are. Like this, that's how a great team is built. Like, with players being engineers of it turning into a great thing.
He was so phenomenal in that game. On the game winner, he essentially creates that goal himself, right? Because he takes it, gets by, runs past Yamal, who stops chasing him. So Koundé, De Jong and Koundé have him in the corner, right? De Jong's right in front of him. Koundé's back behind. He does his deft dribbling and just to create space and an angle, right? So now he's got the space and the angle. He can see Arda. To your point, he doesn't try to split the two of them to get into the box himself to go take the shot and score. He sees Arda. Oh, Arda's here. Gets the ball to Arda. Arda's by himself, wide open, right? Even though and then I'm sorry, on the goal, he gets the ball across, right, to Militao, who heads it. Jude is Johnny on the spot. But that's all of Vini creation, right? His ability to, okay, I see where my guys are in the box. I don't have to be the one to actually get by everybody and then take the shot myself. Sometimes I will when it's obvious and this is a clear scoring opportunity. Other times I won't. In that goal that got disallowed that I was referencing, that's the one where he caught in the corner by the two of them, gets it to Arda. Arda lofts it right over the top to Jude. And unfortunately, just because the ball bounced back off, Mbappe was offside. But that was a brilliant other example of him being under control and knowing when to go myself and when to get my teammates involved, right? And that's the hallmark of a player who understands his role in a system. Because remember, under Ancelotti, it was, no, you just do it on your own, right? We trust you. So he has to, I said about habits when we started the show, right? It's hard to break that when you've been doing it for 2 years, right? Now he knows, okay, this is when I go on my own. This is when I get it to somebody else.
And even when I go on my own, I have to think about somebody else because that somebody else is more than likely to be the finisher, or at least is going to open some gaps. Like, for example, like Mbappe. On the surface, his performance doesn't look that particularly great, right? On the surface.
But on rewatch.
No real on the ball impact, right? But it was that off the ball, against the ball, keeping their defenders intact, thinking at all the times, we don't know when he's going to sprint. Like, there was a point where Szczesny was shitting his bricks when Mbappe was going after the ball, even though the ball was really, like, there was no chance for Mbappe to really get at that. Normally, a player would have just gone like, fuck it, let the goalkeeper take it. No. Right. Mbappe still goes like, okay, I'm going to make you uncomfortable here. He knows, but he still makes Szczesny uncomfortable. And guess what? That ball goes to throw in for us. Because of that small sequence, we get the ball back and we can restart our attack. And that's all due to panic that he's causing with his presence. So
Yes.
the gravity that we like to talk about, like the
Yes.
presence, being able to generate the spaces for the others. Like
Mm.
Mbappe played a huge role to us. Yes, offside a couple of times. We still don't know about one of the goals. Don't agree with it,
That
but
Fermin one, that should have been a goal, man, because he kicked Fermin kicked the ball back. What's
and the
offsides?
shot, man, and the
Like,
shot was
oh, it
so
was
good.
oh,
You
it was
know, it's just
beautiful.
like look. Even if we're going by the standard rules here, right? Normally, when you get a goal like that with like what, an inch of hair offside,
Mhm.
literally,
Right.
you allow that goal.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the
Right.
shot
Because the
was
because the
so
offside
good.
isn't why he scored. He didn't score because he was offside. That
Yeah,
wasn't the reason.
exactly.
He
Not like
scored
he
because that
gained
shot
an
was
advantage.
incredible.
It's more of like there's that Wenger rule that goes around where it's like, okay, that's a bit scary if Mbappe is your player. I mean, as a Madrid fan, you would absolutely love it. But the
Mhm.
Wenger rule is basically the player feet have to be aligned with the body,
Yep.
not like the whole body. So
Yep.
imagine somebody like Mbappe with a role like that.
Oh,
You
man.
know, like you're never seeing highlights again.
No.
Madrid are never facing a high line.
No. No. I don't think so. I mean,
So
you'd be dumb to do it, honestly.
it's just I don't know, man. Like finally feels good to see like a trio or a four-man, like whatever we want to call the Vini, Mbappe, Arda, and Jude thing, just
Yeah.
clicking that well.
Oh, it's beautiful. And there's still so much room for growth. There was a play in the first half where Bellingham receives the ball from Valverde on the right touch line. He cuts in, right? And the Barca players are on his back now because he's fast and strong and technical and he's shielding them. And I'm just like, oh my God, just pick your eyes up. Mbappe is starting to make us run. Like you could have threaded it perfect, like you did before. And he just missed them. He was half a second late. And I was like, oh, that was another one, right? Again, I just think more and more time they do that together, they're going to figure it out. I want to go back to Xabi's tactical work. The area that obviously he clearly focused on because we had no preseason was what this team does out of possession, right? We know in last year it was so easy to cut this team apart because there was no rhyme or reason to what we were doing out of possession. Fede and Jude were running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to put out fires all over the pitch. Like it was just wild. But now you can see it. Every time the ball goes somewhere, Madrid's aligned where the defenders are aligned, where the pass angles are cut off. And the only place you can go is backwards or sideways, right? You cannot get forward. And you see it, it's shut down. And if someone does attempt to pass, right, two or three dudes converge like a rondo triangle, right, to take it away. And that is, it's not revolutionary. It's what good teams do. But oh my God, how nice is it to see a team that knows what they want to do out of possession?
We haven't really seen that since Zidane's team, that is so capable to deal with adversity of other teams' abilities on the ball. Like Ancelotti had great success, but that success came with great offense, great ability to swing momentum, and great ability to take advantage of the momentum. It didn't come with like a plan where we can suffocate them. There were cases, like I'm not gonna take everything away from Ancelotti to the point where there were cases, for example, like the semifinals against Bayern Munich. It was like, okay, this team is set up for success here. It doesn't matter what. But even that plan there kind of fully was reliant on Vinicius on both ends. As a number 9 at Allianz Arena and as a left winger at Madrid. While with Alonso, so far, like this team, just to give people context, is second best in terms of underlying numbers in European top 5 leagues. Second to Bayern Munich, who play in Bundesliga. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from how great Bayern Munich have been as a team this season. But we do know if there is one thing that exists in Bundesliga is spaces and lots of chance creation. So to match up to that is really hard, especially when you add the fact that we had Derby Madrileño there, which hurt your numbers a lot, or we had the La Real match away, which was basically with 10 men since the 30th minute. So all of these do play a part. The fact that you're second best in European top 5 leagues in chance creation, first in La Liga now with 5 points difference, goes to show that the coach is doing right things. 13 out of 14 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You're 90% basically. Like I'm just rounding it up.
Yeah.
You have lost one game the whole year. You haven't drawn a single one, and you're seeing that this team keeps getting better. You're not seeing that this team is gonna let the foot of the gas. No, actually, it's far more likely that this team starts blowing teams away and doesn't let a goalkeeper. Because just this week, right? Soria 8 saves.
Yep.
De Gregorio 9 saves. Wojciech Szczesny 9 saves, including a penalty. This is not normal.
Yep.
This is not something that happens every single game, and it happened 3 times in a row for you. So when all of these things are going to align, it's kind of like the same Mbappe thing from last season, right? He was missing chances left, right, and center at the beginning of the year until like November, I want to say, when he kind of started to become a little bit more clinical. And by the end of it, he wins the golden shoe. Why? Because his underlying metrics were already showing that he's the most prolific player in world of football. But it's just that his actual numbers were not backing that up. So when he started to score those lower probability chances as he did, then it started to even out. The law of averages, I want to put it there. And
for sure.
That's bound to happen for Madrid. Like fortune is bound to go their way. And we're talking here about a team that has won 13 out of 14 games that needs fortune to go their way.
No, everything you said is right. There's nothing to debate there on this squad. And again, the room this team has to go from where it is now to what its ultimate ceiling is, there is so much more room, guys. This is why we're so optimistic about what Xabi Alonso is doing, because I think he even has some more ideas about what he wants to implement, but he's got to just, okay, am I comfortable that this is working? Okay, I'm comfortable here. Now let me start tinkering on this side a little bit, right? Not too much. I don't think he's one of these like overly like, he's not like Pep, right? I need to control every single aspect of every single game. It's not that, right? But what else can I unlock that these guys do that are so special? I want to look ahead a little bit. I mentioned Valencia. I mentioned Liverpool. Liverpool not playing well right now. Lost again, I want to say, over the weekend in the Premier League, like 5th or 6th right now in the Prem. You know, Florian Wirtz still needs time to click. The Isak thing hasn't worked out how they thought. You know, it's like, but it's all the stuff that we know, right? It's like you just think plug a player and all of a sudden you're going to be awesome. And I'm like, it's not how it works. Like you have to integrate. It takes time. To me, regardless of how Liverpool is playing, this is another big matchup for Real Madrid. This should be a game, the way we are playing right now and what we are doing, that tactically we should dominate once again and should win relatively comfortably at Anfield. But, you know, it's football and shit happens.
Yes. Liverpool are a hot mess tactically, to be honest. Reality is that you need to know what you're doing with the ball to know what you're doing off the ball. I feel that Arne Slot is doing way too much off the ball, and he's kind of forgetting that, hey, we actually need to be good on the ball too. But to that, he doesn't really have an on-the-ball deep profile. Well, he did have one last year, and that's why he lost 4 games. And that's a player that they just wanted to say that is not good enough. And I'm talking about Trent, for people that don't know that. Trent was the sole reason why they could get the ball up the field and get Mo Salah and all of these players in such ridiculous positions. That switch, Van Dijk to Trent, was their only way. But because Trent is so good, no team could contest that. So normally teams would settle for, okay, what is Trent going to do? So Trent has a lot on his package. This to tie up to Alonso thing, which you mentioned earlier, that it feels that it's not finished. It's not finished because Trent is not even integrated yet. And he's one of the cheat codes to deal with this team. Like, we didn't see an emphasis of getting Trent into the team at the start of the season. It was more like, okay, is Trent actually good defensively? Or is Trent that player that gets cooked by like your Jeremy Dokus, which I think that majority of the good fullbacks would struggle against a dribbler.
Hmm.
But still, they use that against Trent. Trent hasn't shown any defensive lapses with Madrid whatsoever, at least so far in his games. It was the other way around. But the other way around is the fact that Trent is not getting the ball outside of the Mallorca game on favorable positions for him to unlock the full potential of this team.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Trent would also allow Valverde to be a more of a midfielder. Like I mentioned Valverde as one of our weak points yesterday, which is crazy to say because he had a great game.
Hmm.
But on the general consensus of the game, if you're going off, okay, what would you pinpoint as a weakness for the team? You're going to say Valverde on
Hmm.
that right back
Hmm.
spot. Not because he couldn't cope defensively, because he definitely could. Like Rashford at one point just didn't even dare to try and go at him. But with the ball, he's not a right back. Like he gave an interview saying that, hey, I'm a midfielder. And
Right.
he plays the right back role as a midfielder. You can tell that sometimes he's more of like thinking of the progression rather than the
Hmm.
circulation.
Yep.
Sometimes he's more thinking of, okay, how do I generate the advantages here
Yep.
rather than, okay, my teammate is an advantageous position here, so I
Hmm.
better get the ball to him. It's more of
Hmm.
like a midfielder thinking on the way how he's actually going about it rather
Yep.
than a right back type of thinking. And that plays a role because he's so damn physically gifted and can do the role doesn't necessarily mean that he's the perfect fit.
Right.
And having Valverde in midfield also allows you to keep Camavinga more healthy
Correct.
or even Tchouaméni more healthy.
Right.
Tchouaméni can sometimes fill in into the center back role if we need one of the center backs. Like
Right.
this is going to expand the team much, much more than people seem to think.
Yeah.
Both of our right backs, as it currently stands, are now back.
Yeah.
Carvajal played yesterday. I think we should touch on that
Hmm.
because we didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't look match fit at all. I'm gonna be
No,
honest.
he's not
It
ready. Yeah.
was comfortable enough for him to hold his own. Like it wasn't the aggressive, I'm gonna force a turnover, get out of the
Hmm.
attacker
Hmm.
here to get the ball back. It felt more like, okay, I need to hold this line just very good so they can switch it
Yep.
over.
Yep.
I appreciate his experience and ability to deal with that, but didn't look match fit.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Alonso's journey is that the right back position.
Yeah. So you're mentioning right back. Let's play a little thought exercise. What does this lineup look like in possession and out of possession? So Trent, Militao, Hoyson, Carreras, Chouameni, Goulet, Camavinga, Bellingham, Mbappe, and Vinicius.
It's very tough because Alonso kind of said it's mashup dependent, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
there will be times when you might see like two Camavinga and Valverde together sitting on a bench because he decided to go for Franco Mastantuano because he wants that width. It's
Hmm.
just it's a luxury that Alonso has created, by the way, just for people, because we would not really be having this conversation if Ancelotti was our coach. It's just due to the nature of how Ancelotti coaches the team. It's rather, okay, this is the 11 set in stone, this is how we want to play. With Alonso, it's more like, okay, every player has his own strength, and I'm going to try and cater towards as
Hmm.
much of them as I can, because
Hmm.
obviously there's a ceiling and limit with it. Normally in La Liga, we know that we're going to face a lot of deep blocks, especially after all of this. So normally you will want as many quick passers as possible. So Arda, Bellingham, Trent, Mbappe, Vinicius, Chouameni. Maybe he
Hmm.
gets dropped sometimes for Camavinga if there is really no between the lines adversity whatsoever, and you go
Hmm.
with like Camavinga, Valverde, and you try to
Hmm.
play it as quick as possible. But
Yep.
again, matchup dependent, just depends on the team, depends on the health of the center backs. Um, it's there is no really best 11. Like that's
Yeah.
the crazy part. As much
Right.
as you can say it's an exercise for the brain,
Hmm.
it really is, because the more you think about it, it's like, what is really, do I really want to be like this unbeatable team on the center like we were against Barcelona? Do I want
Right.
to be a more wide oriented team
Hmm.
like we were
Hmm.
against Villarreal, for
Hmm.
example? Do we want to have like double tens with Arda and
And
Jude in
Jude.
the center backs to free up Mbappe like we did against Getafe, have them interswitching? It's just there are so many options to this team where you kind of don't know where your head's at.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, because when you play Madrid and you are scouting them, that means you have too many things to prepare for, and you can't prepare for everything, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they're going to do, right? You're like, they might play with Bellingham and Arda as double tens, or they might go their Monstars midfield, and now, like, right, or they might play with Masantuano, right? And in the way this fixture calendars works, you don't have that much time to be preparing for 17 different styles of play, right? So you have to lean into whatever you do well and hope that's good enough, right? And in La Liga, as we know, because our talent's better and now our foundation of how we play is better, it's going to be good enough for us to beat those teams. And I think as we get better, this is going to be our X factor in the Champions League, Loconte, against the big teams. I don't know if it's going to come to fruition in time this season. Time will tell. But I think ultimately that will be our advantage. We'll be in the Champions League, and these coaches don't have time to prepare for 17 different styles of play.
Yes. Trajectory is there for this team to be able to compete / beat, but do they get there in time? It's another story. But as you said, like, the more film is stacking on us, the harder it's becoming to actually deal with us, because there will always be a curveball thrown at you because you don't know what he's really doing. We keep really talking about how it's so hard to guess the 11. Right. For example, on this week, I was able to guess it because it just made the most sense on Alonso's Leverkusen approach for the big games and what Borussia weaknesses were going to be. Did I expect that Alonso was going to play that way? No. I did not think that he was going to put like Camavinga as right winger at some point, just to try and use that technical quality to make them uncomfortable. But what we have to do, I'm referencing the Barcelona game because we have to repeat this now. And what I mean by repeating this is the fact that our opponent has to adjust and not us. Constantly, our opponents have to adjust. So let's say that they learn the 11 an hour and a half before the game, which usually happens, right? Our opponents now are sitting there and going through their 7, 8 different game plans to deal with. Well, they don't know what our game plan is. They might know the 11, but they don't know exactly what they're going to do. Like Camavinga at right winger, you're barely going to see it ever again. You saw it for that one specific occasion. But you have to keep that in mind that, okay, now this coach can always go to that. Okay, he wants more midfielders. Well, Valverde seems pretty comfortable inverting, so he might not play any of his right backs, and he might just go with Valverde there. So there is more bodies there. Oh my God, now he has Trent and Valverde and Camavinga are kind of like the pivot. So I can't even go behind Trent even if I want to. And there's that monster named Militao that seems to be winning every duel. So it's very hard to go behind that too. And Dean with Carreras on the other side with the ball are just absolutely ridiculous to the point where, as a coach, I wouldn't even try to go against that. I'm going to be honest. Like, Barcelona didn't try to go against it. Neither did Atleti really, but it kind of became a game like that where the players lost like their way. The rotations were moving a little bit slowly, so the game kind of fell apart. So for as long as their teammates are moving correctly, don't worry about them. They're going to get the ball there. Like, even if you go and watch the mistakes that they made, like when Dean makes the mistake early, he's trying to find the player between the lines, not like he doesn't have any cue of what he has to do. It's more of like what he's trying to do there.
Yep.
For all you know, that might have literally been a trap because he barely attempted that pass again while still being comfortable. He might have just been like, okay, I'm going to attempt this, I'm going to show them a little bit. I'm not saying that the trap was him to lose the ball. I'm saying that the trap was for him to try and play that pass and never really try to repeat that again. It's more of like, false hope of security, because that's where Barcelona wants the ball to be played the most on that zone for 14 to enter as quickly as possible. So for all we know, it's just that the game plan needs to stick. For as long as we make our opponents think and guess and feel like sweaty without even starting running, where okay, how the hell am I going to bypass this? Like, what the hell is waiting for me out there on a pitch? Like, those key notes are what I want Madrid to be, because that's how you assert dominance. You want to be the team that's setting the tone. And that's what we were.
Yes. Barcelona's reacting to us all game, and that's what we want going forward in every match. We dictate terms, and you react based on what we are doing. And if you are a team like Barcelona, which only has one style of play, well, what can I say? You're probably going to lose, and lose big, as we get better at clinical finishing in front of the goal. Guys, this is the kind of top-notch analysis you get on the Real Deal podcast. You don't get this anywhere else on the internet. And guess what? It's for free. I mean, what? Where else are you finding this stuff for free? Nowhere. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Again, like the video. Love your comments. You guys have been awesome in the chat, talking to each other. We love it. We're going to be doing way more of these. A lot more stuff coming from the Real Deal pods. Again, if you want to re-listen to this later, audio only, we're on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe there. Do your reviews, all that good stuff. And we will see you for sure on Friday for our mailbag episode. You guys can submit your questions on Twitter, and we'll answer them. There are a lot of good questions in the chat, which we'll try to get to. There's so much going on with this club, so much to be excited about. Loconte, as always, it has been a pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, later.
Likewise. Bye, guys.